Thanks for
Yeah.
taking time out of your busy day.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's always a good time to get with you. So we really appreciate having you on and taking time out to share some of your expertise with us. So thank you very much. It's great to be
Yeah.
with you. Everybody, welcome. As many of you know, I've been on with you on our Ask a Pros, different things. I'm Chris Brown, CEO, founder of Tax Hive, and I'm grateful that you chose to take some time out of your busy day today. I know that you've got a lot going on in your life and a lot that you could choose to do, and we appreciate you being here. Our goal here at Tax Hive certainly is to help people with taxes and save money and keep money in your pocket. But kind of one of the missions that Kevin O'Leary, when he partnered with me, kind of emphasized was that he wanted us to focus not just on taxes, but on anything that we could do to help drive entrepreneurship and success in business and small business in this country, because all of you are what drive and fuel the economy in this country. So with that in mind, we put together these community events every Tuesday to bring people that we feel have helped us succeed or can help other small businesses succeed, and just kind of impart their knowledge and their know-how to you in hopes of filling that mission that Kevin's given us of really helping you succeed and thrive. And that's the backdrop to bringing Tanner on. So if it's all right, Tanner, I'd love to give you a little introduction about, our relationship, and certainly let you share anything beyond that you would like to. But, Tanner, our relationship with Syndicate Marketing started with them actually doing some marketing for us. Tanner and his partners working for us and doing work for us. And Tanner is a marketing genius, a marketing savant is the way that I would look at it. He knows a heck of a lot more than I do, but I'm smart enough to recognize that I'm not always the smartest person in the room, and try to surround myself with people that are. And with Tanner's input, with his team's input, we've been able to see a lot of success in marketing and some different vehicles that we want to talk about here today. So we started with Tanner being an actual client, I would say, or using Tanner's talent to drive and fuel us. And we do so well in marketing and with social media and emails and different things that we'll talk about today that I thought it would be tremendous to have Tanner be part of these community events and share some of what he's done to us and taught me personally with all of you. And certainly we would recommend and endorse Tanner to be somebody for you to work with. And we'll share with you today how you can work with Tanner if you want to. But more than anything, what I've asked Tanner to do is just come in and teach. If I'm a business owner and if I'm getting going in marketing, or I feel like I need to get more going in marketing than I currently have, what is it that I should be doing? And so I'm grateful to have Tanner here. Tanner, anything you would add before perhaps we jump into kind of where we want to go with this today?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, man. And I would just say at Syndicate Marketing, what we do is we specialize in helping clients leverage the power of these different tools that are available to us as business owners, primarily through paid advertising. So that's really our bread and butter. So today I'm excited to kind of share with you how we approach things. And I'm going to share with you guys some crunchy content, some good content that hopefully you'll be able to implement immediately in your business. And, I actually want to set, Chris, if it's okay with you, to do some Q&A at the end. I want to make sure that there's time for people to maybe go back and forth with some questions if possible. And so if you do have questions while I'm talking, or you have anything you want to ask me that's marketing related, I'd love to take some time at the end if that's okay with you too, Chris.
Yeah, let's just tell people right now from the beginning, throw your questions in the Q&A, even if perhaps we don't get to them till the end. Throw your question in the Q&A so that we have it there and we can come back to it, but that would be fantastic. So
Perfect.
Well, Tanner, I think where we want to start, well, I think you had a thought that you wanted to share before we kind of get into some of the content. Is that right?
Yeah. So actually, I want to play a little game with you, Chris. Is that okay? You like games? Chris?
Yeah, but I usually lose when it's with you, at least on the golf course. So I don't know if I...
Well, yeah, I mean, golf is the one thing I'm good at besides marketing, but everything else, I think you basically got me covered. But I actually want to share my screen with you here. I've got a little presentation deck I put together. So what I want to do is I want to play a little game. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
Actually, let's cancel out that slideshow. Navigating with one arm today. Perfect. Okay. So Chris, here's how the game works. If you're ready for it. So I'm going to basically, it's called how much is this worth, or what is something valuable in terms of value? What would it be worth to you? And then I've got some other people and some examples, and you're going to try to guess what you think that the object that I'm going to share with you is worth to that person. Sound good? Pretty simple?
Great.
Perfect. So here's the first object. What do you think this is worth? What would you be willing to pay for this?
Yeah, I think I'd go down to Dick's Sporting Good and get it for, 40 or $50.
Okay. This is actually a nice ball. It's probably worth like 79, but it's okay. You'd pay 60 for it. Question is how much is it worth for this guy right here?
A whole lot more than it's worth to me. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I think last year alone, Michael Jordan made like $300 million off of his Nike Jordan brand deal. So a lot of money. Next one. What would this be worth to you? What would you be willing to pay? This is a nice set of Callaway golf clubs.
Well, I see how we're playing the game now. I think my last set was $800, right? And worthless off of a couple of tees. In fact, a few clubs might have ended up in the lake from my perspective. But
so how much would it be worth to this guy?
Millions.
Billions. Tiger Woods is a billionaire, maybe 2 times over. The divorce obviously took him down a notch, but he's back up there again, right? Now, we're increasing in value. So this is obviously worth probably a little bit more than a pair of golf clubs. This is a concert grand piano. What would you be willing to pay for this? Any guess what this kind of goes for retail?
Well, my guess is that thing's going to cost me 10, 15, 20 G's. But to your point, I think in my hands, it wouldn't be worth a penny. But if I wanted it as a paperweight in my house, I'd probably have to pay 10, 15, 20 grand to get it.
Yeah, it's expensive. But what about this guy? How much do you think this piano, the same piano, is worth to him?
Once again, in his hands, man, more money than I can dream of.
Yeah. Now, we're going to kind of get to the moral of the story here. So we got one more pair of objects or items. What are these tools worth to you? Meta on the left, Google, TikTok, and LinkedIn.
Now we're getting into some things that actually I think are worth quite a bit of money to me.
Okay.
A whole lot more than the free download to get the app. These are some things that get me excited.
Yeah. Well, when I see these, I see millions of dollars. Now, I was not genetically gifted. I couldn't make a career in professional sports or anything like this. But the point of the story is that all of these tools, all these items are just tools, right? A basketball in my hands is still a basketball, but in Michael Jordan's hands, it's worth billions of dollars, right? A golf club in Tiger Woods' hands, it's worth billions of dollars. Those tools that I just shared with you, Chris, are the tools that I have learned how to master. And what I want you guys to understand, every single person on this call today, is that you right here get to decide how much those tools are going to be worth to you. The barriers to entry are exactly the same. The things I'm going to share with you guys today, anyone, anywhere in the world with a laptop and an internet connection can do these things. And it's just up to you. So when you master a tool, right, here's what it can kind of look like. So here's an example, Chris. I pulled some reports from a model of a couple of our clients of what they've been able to use and leverage Google, Facebook, TikTok for in the last 4 months. Each one of these columns represents monthly spend on the top, and then total revenue, and then this is a return on total ad spend. So you can see here, they made a 417% return. Month 2, 2,000% return, made $441,000 in revenue. Month 3, 1.2 million. Month 4, another $1.2 million. So those tools to this business, right, this company is worth tens of millions of dollars because this is something duplicatable that they can continue to leverage and implement month after month. Here's another example for a B2B company, right? That's generating leads, $132,000 in spend, $370,000 in total revenue. You can see that kind of goes on and on here. Month 3 of working with these guys, they did a 448% return on ad spend. And then lastly, another example. So I'm sharing these results here to just illustrate the point that the only difference between where you might be right now with your current marketing and where these clients are at, and what we've been able to do with these clients is that they've simply decided that, hey, I want to learn how to use these tools to build and grow my business. And so that's kind of what we're going to get into today a little bit.
Does
that sound good?
Absolutely.
So, what I want to cover today is I want to keep it super simple. And if you actually can't take something that's incredibly complex and complicated and condense it down into actionable, easy to understand bullet points. And you truly haven't mastered something. So what I want to share with you guys today is the 3 key pillars that you need to do to understand and improve your online marketing. And this is going to go for social media marketing. This is going to go for search engine marketing. If you guys are doing things on Google with pay-per-click ads, it's going to be the same principles are going to apply. And the first one is that you have to study your competition. I'm going to talk about what that means, but one of the things with Tiger Woods, with Elton John in the example, with Michael Jordan, is they didn't just pick up a basketball one day and just started throwing it through a hoop. They studied people and other greatness that had come before them. Kobe Bryant, I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan. And who was the guy that he studied most to take his game after? It was Michael Jordan. Yeah. So, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. There are already business owners that are being successful doing what you want to do. You're not reinventing the wheel here. So the first thing that you got to do is you got to study your competition. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. The second thing is that you have to get clear on your outcomes. You have to be crystal clear on what you're trying to accomplish. And we're going to talk about how you can do that, how you can build a marketing pro forma, a business model around being successful so that you actually can get the results that you're hoping to accomplish. And then lastly, Chris, this being a client of ours, how many different ad creatives are we testing at all given times? My favorite quote is, we're not going to know until we test, right? So we test relentlessly.
There's just a side note on that. There's this incredible book called Change or Die. I don't know if you've seen it, Tanner.
Yeah.
I would just tell people you should go read it because it ties into this. It's incredible. The successful people, the way that they are constantly going at it. You can't rest on your laurels in business. And we see this all the time in our marketing.
Right. Exactly. You have to change. You got to test. You got to pivot. And we're going to talk a lot about that here. So I want to start by a quote by Sir Isaac Newton. Once again, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. That just illustrates the point that we study our competition. That's the first thing that happens. So if you are, a professional services company, if you're selling a physical product, if whatever you're doing, the first thing that you want to do is you want to go out and study your competition. And this is real life in the trenches, how we go about this for our clients. The first thing that we're going to do, and I want you to take notes on this, is we're going to perform social media marketing kind of research. And then we're going to try to go and spy on them and see what they're doing from a search engine perspective. So what we're going to do is if you have a Facebook account, log into Facebook. That's step number 1. And then I want you to go to this, type right here in the search bar, Facebook ads library. And when you hit Facebook ads library, it's going to get you a link right here that says facebook.com ads library. When you click on this, Chris, where it takes you is into a massive database where you can see every single advertisement of anyone currently on the Meta platform. So if someone is running an advertisement, any business, it has to, by the Meta policies, be shown here. And the cool thing is once you're here, you can go and select location. You can select, United States or all. You can see what type of ad campaigns are being ran in different countries. If you have maybe a global business or global approach, you can hit select ad category. So if there's maybe a housing or financial ad that you like, maybe you're a lender or you're maybe looking for real estate opportunities, things like that, you can actually select these different ad categories to see the ads in these categories. But what I do is I just select all ads. It's going to show me all ads across the board. And then what you do is you come in here and you just throw in a keyword or you search for this specific account and advertiser. So we're actually running all of Tax Hive's ads from Kevin O'Leary's account. That's one of the strategies that we do to help, get better cost per clicks and better conversions. But when you click on Kevin O'Leary here, you can actually see all of the ads that we're currently running right now for Tax Hive. And when you click on an ad, for example, like this one that's, not a magic formula, you can see this started running on February 10th. You can see the platforms that we're targeting. So Facebook, Instagram, Audience Network, and Messenger, right? There's multiple versions of the ad. That means we could be using this in dynamic advertising campaigns. And basically we're trying to maximize the reach. So that there's probably testing that's going on with this campaign since it's newer. And then if you hit see ad details, You see the exact thing, what it looks like in all of the versions, right? Across the board, different placements, aspect ratios. And if you click on the Learn More link, you actually go to the landing page that we're sending traffic to in real time. So you can see now this is offered at taxhive.com/blueprint with the campaign ID and the UTM tracking parameters that we have set up on the back end. But you can come in here. Let's say you're maybe trying to do tax accounting. You come in and you research on TaxHive, seeing these headlines, these landing pages are guaranteed, going through the blueprint, seeing how we're requesting information and access to different questions. You guys can be doing this for your own business. So going back to it again, let's just, throw out another example here.
Hey, I was just going to say, we actually had Barati message in that they're running a wellness and a yoga center.
Cool.
So let's just look at a real life example. Somebody who's on here, Tanner. I'm running a wellness center, a yoga center, a fitness center. What might we look at here?
Perfect. Well, the first thing that you're going to do is there's around 27,000 results, ads that feature the word yoga in them. So what I would do is, you can start here very broad and you can kind of come in here and find, other people that might be targeting specifically for what you're doing. But even better, if you have a competitor in your marketplace that you already know of that is marketing and running ads, you can come in here and search for that actual page. So maybe we type in yoga studio to see if we can, we got this 2.4 followers. Like, let's click on these guys and just see what happens. Not actually running any ads currently, but if we just type in yoga studio again, we can see here we got, Amherst Yoga Studio, Studio U Yoga. Looks like if we look at this copy here, they're doing a lead magnet for a free guide on how to do yoga. They're growing their email list, right? That can be good research for you. So really it's just a matter of coming in here and just playing around in the sandbox for a little bit. We got this one right here. We work with yoga communities in Ukraine. That's not maybe what you're looking for. 21 days for $30 at Studio U Yoga. Get started to make some positive changes in your routine. So this is an actual conversion campaign that they're running, trying to get people to sign up for a 21-day free pass, it looks like. And, they started running this last week. So this is a new ad.
No. Look at that. That's been running since 22, Tanner.
Oh, it has. My correction. Okay. So even better here, Chris. If you see an ad that was launched in March of 2022 and it's still active, what does that tell you?
Means it's working.
Means it's working.
It means it's working, or they have no clue what they're doing. One of the two things, right?
Exactly. So you're not going to know until you test, but you might be able to come in here and just tweak the copy a little bit, add maybe a little bit of a personal twist. But let's go check out their landing page, and boom, here's their website that they're sending traffic to. I wouldn't recommend sending them to this page, but gives you guys a great idea of what's going on here. So here's another thing. Prana Yoga online free for 15 days. This looks interesting. They're like an online yoga program. This is a cool landing page, right? There's probably some messaging in here that you can totally glean and take advantage of. So that's the first thing in terms of doing your research. Now, the other tool that we're going to use is one called SpyFu. And you can sign up for a free trial. To show you what you can do, I actually signed up with a free trial on another email account of mine, so you can see that this is the exact same access that you can have. And to just keep it congruent with the example here, let's go to taxhive.com. We're going to type that in the search bar. We're going to get insight into the organic keywords, right? Estimated organic monthly SEO clicks. But even better than this, over here on the right side, we're going to get some transparency into the paid keywords that we're currently trying to target as the advertisers for TaxHive. So we can come in here and see there are 4,300 keywords. Total volume is 25,000 people estimated, give or take a month. And if we come in here, we can actually see how many different ad variations, how many of those are happening on mobile, what the average volume is. And if we click on this ad copy, we can hover and see what the ad copy looks like for the Google campaign. So this is actually an ad we're running. We guarantee we'll find you 10,000 and missing your potential tax deductions. Taxes eat away at your bottom line, which is why we want to keep all your money you can. One-stop service, reasonable service plans, all your tax support. And literally, when they click on this link, it goes to the consultation call. We're using this to retarget people that have seen our ads that maybe haven't been able to book a call yet to get on with our sales floor. So, I mean, you can see in here, with the history, different templates. The sky's the limit with the competitive research. But by just taking 5 to 10 minutes to come in here and look at the potential keywords that you could be using, what other people in the space are using for targeting, where there might be some low-hanging fruit or some missed opportunities for free traffic, you're going to have a great, I would say, like a great foothold on the competition of where you can actually start to make strategic moves to get more leads and get more revenue.
So Tanner, can I maybe back up just a second and ask you, I want you to speak to something.
Yes.
I've talked to so many business owners, and so many have had an experience where they've tried to start marketing and they have just lost so much money so fast that they're scared to death, or they've never started because they're afraid of losing money. And so I guess my question is this, and unfortunately I've seen this and I've lived it. If I do this wrong, just talk to me for a minute, because you've seen a lot of people do this wrong. What happens and how quickly can I lose money doing this wrong? I think that's kind of the pain that we've experienced as business owners. And then how does this kind of research and almost cheat code alleviate some of that risk and fear for the clients that you work with?
Yeah, great question. So that's why this is step number one. If we go back over here to the presentation, right? And we actually click on these 3 key pillars. Step number one is to study your competition before you ever spend a dime. And that's going to help hedge against massive losses and you not getting results, because you're going into it already with a little bit of a strategic mindset of knowing what other people have done that works. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I think a lot of people, they want to start marketing. They don't know what other people have done. They don't know what other people are currently doing. So they treat a campaign and all of the headlines, all of the call to actions, all of the sales copy, everything is unique and brand new. Instead of taking what somebody has been doing that's working and just tweaking it a little bit to get some momentum. The other thing I would say is when you set up these campaigns, you can set daily budgets. So it's not like, this thing's going to go and it's just going to blow through all your savings. You can start with $10 a day, right? And you can start with, ease into it based on the results that you're getting. It's going to take you a little bit longer to make data-driven decisions because, the amount of money that you spend is directly correlated with the amount of data that you get back. But if you're starting from scratch or you're scared or you've been burned before, just start with $5 to $10 a day and just really ease into it and make sure that you're doing the best you can to spend that money on campaigns that you have a high likelihood of knowing that it's working.
I think the one thing, Tanner, that I love about this first step that you take people through, there's really kind of 2 things to it. Number one is, to your point, it hedges your risk, right? It hedges your risk and it helps get over that hump of, I'm afraid to spend money. But the other thing that you address here in this that I think is equally is much of an issue for a lot of people is that we just feel we're not creative enough to figure this out, right? We feel like, well, hey, I know I need to, and I'm good with the X's and O's of my business, and I have the vision of my product, but man, I don't have the creative marketing mindset that Tanner Smith has. And candidly, this puts me in a spot where I don't have to, right? That pain, that worry that sits in the back of my head of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I haven't done this before, this isn't in my wheelhouse. It really is this cheat code to get over building great content and doing it in a way where I'm copying somebody who's already working to eliminate some of that fear that I think is so often there for business owners like myself.
Exactly. So like the analogy I'll give you is, let's say that you're in high school, right? You've got a really hard paper that you've got to write, and you had somebody last semester that took the class, they wrote the same paper and they got 100% on it, right? Well, I don't condone cheating in any way, shape, or form. And so when it comes to academics, I wouldn't recommend this, but this is kind of what we're doing a little bit. That buddy gives you his paper, you go and you tweak 3 or 4 things here or there, going into it that this paper did well, right? You might be able to pull other resources and put your own spin on it, but it takes that fear and frustration and anxiety out of it because you're just standing on the shoulders of other giants, right? That quote by Isaac Newton. So that's step number one. And, there's lots to it, but that's essentially the simple thing. Just get a feel for what other people are doing. Now, the second thing, which is going to help you even hedge more against getting burned, is step number 2, which is getting clear on your outcomes. What I mean by that is, and there's this quote here that says, without a standard, there is no logical basis for making a decision or taking action. So a lot of people start marketing, but they actually don't know what they're trying to market for. Are they trying to get leads? Are they trying to get sales? If so, how much money do they need to spend in order to actually run their business profitably? Do they know what the break-even analysis is on a cost per lead? What are those different metrics that go into being successful? So if I tell you, Chris, I can get you 1 million leads for TaxHive. You're like, where do I sign up? Right? You're like, okay, well, let's go. What if I say that each one of those leads is going to cost you $100,000?
Not such a good deal anymore.
Yeah, not such a good deal. What if I can tell you though, that I can get you, what like the target CPA or cost per acquisition for a lead might be $60. And I can say, hey, Chris, I might not be able to get you as much volume, but I can maybe slash your cost per acquisition in half. That's something that you'd be willing to test and experiment with, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I mean here when you say get clear on your outcomes. When we started working with TaxHive, Chris knew exactly how much he wanted to spend for a lead, how much he could spend for a lead to be able to do so profitably. So it helped everyone in the organization, and on my team included, hold ourselves accountable and work towards those goals. So the way that we do that is we actually create a marketing pro forma. And I'm not going to take the time today to explain the ins and outs of a pro forma. You actually can just go Google marketing pro forma or YouTube marketing pro forma. There's hundreds of really great resources and assets out there. But essentially what you want to do is you're trying to create projections and understand where you're at with your break even, where you want to be at in terms of acquisition costs and ultimately revenue at the end of the day. So the key with building a pro forma, though, is to not make it super complicated, to make it something that's super easy to track, something that's super simple to understand. And it needs to be obviously aligned with your business goals and vision. So going back to Chris, they can't spend, $1,000 for a lead or $10,000 for a lead or $100,000 for a lead, but they can spend 50, they can spend 60, right? And we can try to do that at volume. So it's making sure that the pro forma is in alignment with that. So the simplest way to create a pro forma is to understand this little diagram. And I ingrain this into every single one of my clients' heads of this is it. This is the pro forma. This is how simple it needs to be. Step number 1, considered top of funnel, the very, very top. This is our ad campaign. This is what people are seeing. What is the average cost per click? How much are we willing to spend for a click? That's the really only thing that we need to try to track. Step number 2 is, we call this middle of funnel, the landing page. What's the conversion rate of that landing page? So if we have 100 people that come to the landing page or 100 people that click, right, that'd be 100 clicks. If we spent $100 on that campaign, that'd be $1 cost per click. If we had 10 people come to the, 10 people convert on the landing page, that means that we'd have a $10 cost per lead and a 10% conversion rate on that landing page. And then the third thing that we want to try to track is total revenue and total orders. So if we had one person buy a $3,000 package, that'd be a 10% conversion rate, right? And we would get a total ROM, return on marketing or return on ad spend, of 3, because we would have spent $1,000 and we would have generated $3,000 in total revenue. So that's it. Like, that's the most simple condensed version of how you can start to track and think through these things. Now, if, for example, in this pro forma and we track it, right, that we start getting clicks for $2, it's going to dramatically affect the amount of ROM that we can have on the bottom, assuming all things stay the same, because now we can only get 50 people to the landing page, right? Whereas it took us 100. So we might try to think and say, okay, well, how can we get our cost per click back down? How can we try to get more people to the page? Maybe on the landing page, the conversion rate is 10%, right? 10 people will actually convert into a lead. What happens if that number goes up to 20%? And we close the same amount? So it's this constant game of we're just trying to track this and make sure that we're beginning with the end in mind. Every business kind of has some rough numbers, but you just got to start by trying to put this together. Now, what does that look like? That's probably, Chris.
Tanner, can I interrupt on one thing? One thing that you and your team have just shown me and ingrained into me that I want to just point out here, real world example. When Tanner and his team help us look at this, we don't just look at ads. We look at each ad individually. And the reason that that's important is at times you'll see an ad that the cost is a lot more than your other ads. But if your conversion rate on that is also 3 or 4 times, that might be a really good ad. And I think so often people will make bad decisions because they don't have this pro forma built out the way that you've ingrained into us. Is a high cost per click may or may not be a good or a bad thing. You have to take the totality of it in, because if a high cost per click creates a high conversion rate and then a high value per client, man, I'll pay a lot more money for a click every day. But sometimes I see business owners say, man, this cost per click is expensive. I got to shut it down, because they don't have the metrics to understand. And again, all of a sudden you killed your best performing ad unknowingly because you didn't understand the full scope. And so I just want to add kind of my belief that what you're showing here matters so much, because the only way that me as a CEO can make good decisions is by having great information in front of me.
Absolutely. Right. Like if you don't, going back to that quote over here, like without a standard, right, there's no logical basis that we as business owners can make a decision or take action reasonably. And that's ultimately why people have those experiences where they get burned. So let's take a look at what this looks like in real life. Here's our pro forma in action for a client, and you can see the different things that we're tracking here. So without getting too in the details, you can see that up top, we're taking our total purchases, our average ROM, so $4.04, total spend, and the weekly profit. Now, it's not revenue generated, that's profit. So you can see how we break that down into each channel, into each campaign, and we can start to see the average cost per click across the board, average purchases, average total revenue that created. AOV stands for average order value. So we're tracking as well, average order value, because an extra 10% on average per order can be the difference between a campaign working or not. CPA stands for cost per acquisition, average net margin of the order, and then the ROM. So you can see here that in this given week, this campaign on Facebook, we actually spent $8,400 and only generated $4,600 in profit. Now they're still in the green here. They got a 2.69%, 2.69 ROM. But when you come down here and you look at the totality of the equation, you can see Google, we spent $2,667 and we generated $23,000 in weekly profit. So look at the ROM here. Now, there's some different things you can look at, but we want to make sure that we have the totality of the equation, that we're tracking that, because on a given week, we might see, hey, whoa, we're used to getting 39-cent cost per click here on this campaign, and maybe it goes up to $2, but not realizing that we might turn that off because that one, metric that we're tracking seems like it's a red flag. But if this ends up yielding the results and the return that we're looking for, right, that has an actual higher ROM, then we're totally good to continue with that. So hopefully that's making sense to you guys.
So Tanner, let me just ask you, okay, let's just say I'm new to marketing. And again, I look at these reports every week, and so I understand the language. But if I'm new, just walk me through what are the 4 or 5, or just simplify this. What are the 4 or 5 key columns that I need to have on my report to make sure that I'm looking at what I need to look at? What would be the advice you'd give to everybody on here if you said, hey, here's where you start, make sure you keep an eye on these 4 or 5 things?
Yeah. Spend, cost per click, and then obviously cost per acquisition, and then ROM. Now, I got another example here. This is actually a lot more simple, because that's an e-commerce product. That's actually physical product in apparel space. So they're dealing with shipping costs and logistics and average order value. And, they have a lot of different things there, but this is a client that they're B2B business. We're just generating them leads. So you can see here how much more simple it is. It's not crazy complex. We've got spend, total number of leads generated, the average cost per lead, number of appointments that we actually booked from those leads, the percentage of appointment booking rate, the cost per acquisition on a booked appointment, and then total return on marketing with the sales and revenue that was closed. So you can see here that, we were able to spend $39,000 and generate $133,000 in total revenue as a result of these campaigns. And we break out these ads. So we're actually testing these ads, right? And we're seeing which ad is resulting in the best results here and there.
I think, Tanner, just to point out kind of the conversation we had earlier, this is a prime example. You look there, just three slots above where your arrow is. There's an ad in there that costs $102 per lead.
Right.
So when you look at that compared to the others, I think a lot of people would say, well, hey, shut that off. It's more expensive. You look at the top one's only $28, right? But because you've got the full picture, when you go over to ROM, that more expensive lead is creating $2.50 in return, where that cheap lead at the top is only producing 82 cents of return.
Right. We're actually losing money on that campaign.
Yeah. I hope we're not getting too far into the weeds here, but this is the kind of stuff, why it matters. And again, looking at this as a business owner, all of a sudden making decisions becomes really easy because I have great information.
Exactly. And so going back to it, starting out, if you're spending, we're spending tens of thousands of dollars a week here. So it's obviously a little bit more complex and complicated, but if you just start out spending $10, $20, if you want to kind of get into it, just tracking for spend, cost per clicks, average leads, and then total revenue, that's a great place to get started. And then the more that you get into it, the more that, tracking and making sure that these metrics are aligned becomes more important. So, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is just testing relentlessly. And this is where it kind of all comes together. We just keep, this is a great quote, probably the most amazing quote you guys will ever hear, but it's actually my quote. So I'm super proud of it. But here's what I believe in: find what works and then do more of it. So I know it's probably not revolutionary to anybody, but that's what this is all about. We just have the understanding of what's happening in the marketplace. We understand the competition so we can make educated decisions and maybe not reinvent the wheel. We then put together a pro forma that tries to, hold us accountable to those different metrics. And then we just test and we just throw stuff at the wall. We make our best educated guesses on things until we find something that works. And once we find something that works, we just do more of it and we stop doing the things that don't work. And because we have crystal clarity on everything top of funnel to middle of funnel down to bottom of funnel, right? We're able to do so quickly in real time, and it helps to create great results for our business owners and clients. So, the one thing that you can do once again to test relentlessly is, like, if you go look at TaxHive's library, once again, let me go check out this right here. You can see just how many ads were actually, let's see, Kevin O'Leary. Not that one. Go look at TaxHive. Where is this recent one? I never know how to spell the O'Leary, which is kind of embarrassing. But yeah, no, it's not popping up. Actually, I think he's over here. There we go. Bear with me. You don't have to be a genius to do this, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to be the most intelligent person in the world to make this happen. That's why everyone can do this. But you can just see by scrolling through here the sheer volume of ads that we're testing and running and tweaking all of the time. And so this is just a result of us finding an ad that works really, really well, this one in particular, continue to make different versions and iterations of it to try to continue to decrease our cost per acquisition and increase our return on marketing. And that's really all that testing is about. So it's just, once you bring it all together, you rinse, wash, and repeat, and you don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Chris, I know you're a savvy investor. You would never go roll all your investments into one business or one portfolio, right? You're going to diversify so that you've got great chances of success. In the same way we're doing that with our advertising, we're trying to find different ad creatives and putting spend and attention behind them so that the chances of one of them hitting is higher than not.
Well, Tanner, this is awesome. I've got some notes that I've made here that I just want to kind of highlight for everybody. It's this three-step process, right? Number one, I've got to do some due diligence and some research. And Tanner gave you two great tools. Just as a reminder, if you didn't write them down, Facebook ad library and Spy Food. So he gave you two great tools that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Number two, making sure you define the outcome. And again, the tool that he gave you, he showed you a number of pro formas, but he mentioned just go Google marketing pro forma if you don't feel like you can create your own, and templates will come to you. And then the third thing, which is my favorite part of the equation, test, and when you find something that works, pour gasoline on the fire, right? Don't be afraid. And I think alleviating that fear comes from having everything that you just showed us, Tanner, to make it easy. When it's successful, it's easy to say, hey, I'm going to spend more money. It's easy to say, let's keep doing this when you have the evidence in front of you. Now, one of the things I've twisted, Tanner, we're going to get to some questions here. So if you have questions, just throw your questions in the Q&A box and we'll get to them. But before we do that, Tanner, I twisted your arm a bit. I'm so grateful that you're willing to do this, but I wanted you to be able to help everybody here eliminate any excuse that they have to get into the marketing game or to improve their marketing game. And so with a little bit of encouragement, maybe I owe you a round of golf.
I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, you're going to make yourself available for a free consult to walk through this for individuals here. So if I'm sitting here and I either want to get started marketing, or maybe I'm marketing and I want to improve it, and I want to have a free consultation with you, walk us through it. I've got a quick slide I'll share so everybody can look at it. Tanner, how can they do that? How can people get in touch with you and have some access to you, to your expertise, to put them on the right trajectory here?
Yeah, well, with our relationship with TaxHive, I'm willing to meet with every single one of their TaxHive clients for a free marketing discovery call where literally, the sky's the limit. We can talk about what you're currently doing, maybe where you've got some blind spots, what you've done well and how you can do more of it. Maybe if you haven't even started marketing at all and you want to figure out how to kind of get started and what that strategy looks like, we can talk about creating a custom plan for you and your business. Really, it's just a 20-minute conversation where you can pick my brain, and I want to try to help you guys out as much as possible. So, if you click this, scan the QR code, go to my calendar, book a call. There's going to be a handful of questions. The point of those questions is just to help us get the most of our time together. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with as many of you guys as I can and just providing value to the TaxHive community.
Okay, so Tanner's a little nicer than I am. I know how valuable Tanner's time, talent, skill set, knowledge are to a company. Again, we see it in ours. And I'm so grateful that he's willing to take this time and energy to spend time with you. So we're always trying to bring value to you. And I would encourage everybody right now, we're going to get into Q&A. Right now, take 30 seconds, go to syndicatemarketing.com/hive, or just scan that QR code on your phone. If you're on your phone, take a screenshot of it, then go to your pictures and you can get there from there. But just take 30 seconds before you run off to a busy evening, because I know you all have them, and schedule a call, a free consult with Tanner to get some input from an expert, from somebody who's living and breathing this every day as to what you can do to improve your situation. So Tanner, with that said, let's jump into some of these questions. Is that okay?
Let's do it. Sounds great.
So we've already shared some of this, but Brian asks, what marketing tools can I use if I'm starting a business and validating my business idea? So I think he's trying to prove out a concept. One or two ideas or tools as to where you'd go and how to do that.
Yeah. So first things first, I'd say, are there other businesses that are doing the same thing that you're doing or really similar? If so, do some research on them. Go and figure out what ads that they're running. Maybe go and check out their email lists. How are they marketing to their clients? Maybe get on a call if they're offering a sales conversation, a sales call. Take just an afternoon, a couple hours, and just try to figure out as much as you can about other related businesses. The next thing that I would do is to validate your business is if there's nothing out there and you got a completely blue ocean opportunity, then fantastic. That's great news for you. What you should do is just start to spend $10, $20 a day to start testing what the response would be like in your market. So going out to, launching some ads on Meta would probably be the best place to, maximize your ad spend dollars for impressions and the amount of people that you can reach, and just start to spend some money to see what the response would be and go from there. Another thing too is build out a tiny pro forma like we talked about. Go and figure out how much you're willing to spend to acquire a customer and see if you can actually spend that and acquire one. And if you can, great. And if you can't, examine why, what happened, what might be some of the friction points in your marketing campaigns, and how can you improve upon it and make it better, right? That's all about testing and trying to tweaking and improve, and just, you're not going to know until you test. And so the best way to validate is just to start going.
Sander just wants a little direction or clarification on ROM. So ROM means that how much is it how much you get for each dollar spent.
Right.
So you spend $1 and you get the ROM amount. So if I spend $1, I get $1 back. That's a $1. Just help just clarify. And
yeah, great question, Sander. So ROM is usually expressed as a dollar. So typically if we say, hey, we got a two ROM, that means for every $1 that was spent, we generated $2 back in revenue. So that's a $2 ROM or a 2 ROM. If we have a 6 ROM, for every $1 that was spent on the campaign, we actually generated $6 worth of total revenue. ROAS, ROAS, which is typically a return on ad spend, is expressed as a percentage. So it's a little confusing, but it's similar to ROI. If you invest in a stock and you make a 20% return, well, if you did ROAS and had a 120% return ROAS, that means that you basically generated 20 cents for every dollar that you spent on a marketing campaign, right? So $1.20 in total revenue. Does that make sense?
100%. It's great.
Perfect.
Helen, that is a great capture of Meta. Do all social media platforms have a way to evaluate how many hits you're getting? So, you showed us Facebook, and you actually only showed us kind of part of it. I know there's a lot more behind the scenes that you look at, Tanner, but is this something that everybody has? The Facebooks, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the Twitters, the TikToks, or does it vary platform to platform? What advice would you give us there?
Yeah, so every single platform has a way to get transparency and really evaluate your campaign. So, Facebook is called Facebook Business Manager or Meta Business Manager. That encompasses all of their platforms. TikTok also has a business manager backend this is where you actually will launch the campaigns. TikTok is, and we didn't talk about it today because we just don't have enough time, but they have an incredible resource available where you actually can go and see the products, the best-selling products on the TikTok platform in real time. You can check out, see the highest and best converting ads. So it's great because on Facebook, you can't actually see the best performing ads. You just see all of the ads related to an advertiser and other offers, versus you can go and pick a niche and actually see the best performing ads on the TikTok platform. And all you need to do is go and just type in TikTok ad library, and you're going to get redirected to check out all of the best performing ads, TikTok, or it's TikTok Ad Center. Yeah.
Looking at budget, Tanner, I mean, we showed you showed some companies that have already obviously proven things out and they're consistently spending. Where do I need to start? How much is too little?
Yeah, well, once again, it depends on the product. So if you have a $2,000 offer, right, you're going to have to spend a little bit more money to be able to validate a marketing campaign, right? If you're selling a $30 t-shirt, you only have to spend about $30 to know if you're going to be able to sell one or not at break even. It probably has got to be a lot less than that because you've got cost of goods sold and potential shipping costs. You got to factor in returns, things like that. So it comes down to the nature of the product. But what I always say when I'm starting out is, what is my break even? I am completely prepared and willing and able to spend at least double my break even on a campaign to see if it works. And the reason why is because let's just say we're selling a $2,000 offer and we're at 50% profit margin. So I have to get a sale, right, for $1,000. If I go $1 over that, I'm losing money. But if I go $1 under that, everything under that, I'm actually making money on it. Just the scenario to keep it simple. you might spend $999 on a campaign, right? And you're like, man, this campaign's a dog. It's not working. And all of a sudden, you might get a sale or two at the very end. So giving it the full bandwidth to get results is super important. Another thing with these campaigns on Facebook and on TikTok is there's something called the learning phase. So when you first launch a campaign, Facebook, TikTok, Google, all of these platforms are trying to get you the best results that they can. They have a vested interest in the success of your campaigns. Why? If you make money, they make money because you'll continue to spend money with them. So they're trying to learn. And the more data, the more time, the more spend you can give those campaigns, the more optimized they will become ongoing. So that's why I'm willing to spend up to 2 times my break even to validate out a campaign. So if, for example, you're selling a $60 t-shirt, you know you have to acquire a customer for $30. I'm going to try to spend $60 on an ad campaign with, maybe a specific ad and a specific audience to see if we can generate some conversions there.
Somebody shared with me once the term marketing stamina. And I think we can't shut off our ads too quickly, right? We've got to give them the space to breathe in order to be able to see if they're going to work or not. Again, I would just invite everybody, scan that QR code. Tanner's offering for everybody here because of our relationship, Tax Hive with Tax Hives. Tanner's going to offer a free consultation to point you in the right direction, to talk specifically about your business. We've talked about a lot of kind of 30,000 foot view down into marketing, but go answer just a couple of questions and Tanner will spend the time to give you some real concrete direction and help get you on the right path. Whether you've never marketed before and you need to get into the digital marketing world, or if you're doing it and you need to do better, you need to grow it, scan the code, go to syndicatemarketing.com/hive. I promise it'll be worth a few minutes of your day before you run off and do anything else here. Take just 30 seconds right now and go do it. Tanner, I'll give you the last word. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share before we run off?
Yeah, I would just say thanks for having me on board. And I'm super grateful for our client partner relationship and continue to look forward to you guys. And going back to the beginning of the example with Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Elton John, we all have access to these tools. The way that we were able to generate those revenue and those examples for those clients at the very beginning are the same exact tools every one of you guys has. There are no barriers to entry here. The only barrier to entry is, you guys maybe haven't made a decision to start. And so just start, take the leap of faith and start marketing. I believe it's the most important thing that you can do for your business. It's the lifeblood of a business, in my opinion. And there's 2 levers that you can pull to generate more revenue. It's increasing your revenue, increasing your sales and your leads, and it's keeping more of that revenue in your pocket via tax strategies. So I think we're a perfect fit, Chris, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, we're so grateful to have you. Everybody, thanks for taking your time out of your day. We want to do all we can to bring tremendous value to you in these community events. We love Tanner, and go spend some time with Tanner. I'm confident you'll come to love him as much as we do. But Tanner, thanks for your time as always. We look forward to next time we can have you on.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.